In this video, we're going to learn about the 5 main categories of reactions. Now, in reality, there are a virtually infinite amount of possible reactions, and not all of them fall under one of these umbrellas. Some of them are kind of like combinations of a few of them. But we're going to learn the 5 general forms for reactions and try and categorize reactions the best we can. So the first type I want to introduce you to is called a synthesis reaction. Synthesis is when two things come together to make one. So it would have the general formula of A and B combining to make AB. So two things separate at first, coming together to make one. And this right here shows you an example of that. Now, none of these equations are balanced. Okay, so that's your job to balance those. I'm just pointing that out right there. I know how to balance, you got to do it. So you have sodium and chlorine as separate elements coming together to make a compound, an example of a synthesis. A lot of larger, real bioorganic synthesis things result in small byproducts, but result in a accumulation of a larger molecule, such as photosynthesis, where you get glucose, and you also have the byproduct of oxygen. Decomposition is when it's the exact opposite of synthesis. So you have one thing that's together initially, breaking apart into components. So there are a couple different types of these, and we're going to make a separate video on predicting decomposition reactions in particular. But the general formula, one thing breaking apart into two. So for example, if you decompose water, you would break it down into its two elements, hydrogen and oxygen. A single replacement reaction is when one element that's by itself at the beginning comes in and takes the place of one element, one atom in a molecule. So for example, in this single replacement reaction, sodium will displace one of the hydrogens in water to form sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. So again, one thing that's by itself coming in to replace a single atom. A double replacement is kind of like that, except at the beginning, both things are paired up. You don't have something by itself, and basically two things swap partners. So in this case, you're going to end up with sodium and the hydrogen switching places between hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide, and you end up with sodium chloride and HOH, which is water. Now, combustion typically consists of a hydrocarbon, so it's some amount of carbon with some hydrogen, reacting with oxygen. Basically, this is like fire or rapid oxidation, which is rapid oxidation, combining with oxygen to form carbon dioxide and water. However, sometimes in these it's not just carbon and hydrogen. Sometimes you'll have oxygen included as well, and sometimes you'll even see nitrogen in there. But in general, carbon and hydrogen combining with oxygen to make carbon dioxide and water. So those are the 5 main categories of reactions, and now you should be able to classify them.